So obviously, this past weekend was disappointing. Tough game and tough on everybody, players, staff, and certainly our fans. So bottom line is Michigan State played really well and certainly deserved the win. And, I think we had a solid plan, but just, didn't do basically anything well enough to expect to win a game like that. Probably the only positive I saw mentioned the other night was just kick return. But outside of that, we really didn't have anything that stood out. So it was tough on Sunday to look at the tape. Always is after a loss. It was difficult, but just in a quick synopsis, a couple things that stood out offensively. Third down, in the first half, we're 0 for 5. So really couldn't sustain any drives. And I think the bigger picture there, we had a couple negative yardage plays, something we really haven't been afflicted by very frequently prior to that game, and had a few of those. And then also just some makeable plays, whether it's third down or any down. When you miss the makeables, it's really hard to weigh how much that impacts the flow of a team offensively. So those are things you just can't do. We got to do a better job there. Then defensively, it's just a tough game overall. They did a great job. Michigan State, I thought, really executed well. The quarterback played well. He had been turning it over. That's 2 straight games now. He's done a much better job, and it makes a difference certainly for them. And but I think our biggest issue, we just didn't tackle well, and it's going to be hard to play good defense if we don't tackle better. So, I think we tried to give ourselves a chance in the second half, but it's tough playing from behind like that, and they did a good job responding to whatever we came up with. So, that was Sunday. Turned the page Sunday evening and got working on Northwestern, and we'll transition into this ball game. Captains are the same 4 guys. You got Jay Higgins and Quinn Schulte defensively, Luke Lachey and Cade McNamara offensively, and injury-wise, really nothing to report. Addison's going to be out for a while, Stranga, and then Bo will not make it this week, so we'll see what next week brings, but he definitely won't play this week. So, look at Northwestern, kind of typical, repeat comments, with them. They're tough, they're well coached. It really hasn't changed over the years. If you look at it a year ago, they went through a transition in the summertime. Thought Coach Braun did an unbelievable job with their team throughout the year. And, we had a really tough ball game, as you remember, with them. It was a really hard-fought game, both teams. And after our game, they won 3 straight and then won their bowl game in Las Vegas against Utah, who's had a lot of success over the years. So I think that speaks to their program. Coach Braun made a few adjustments during the out-of-season, a couple new coaches that, he got to pick. And so I think he's probably got things where he's wanted, and, I think it shows up with their football team. Big picture-wise, it's interesting. You look back, the last 8 contests were 4-4 with them, and that kind of sums up this series. It's been back and forth, and they're a team where, they make you earn everything. They compete hard. They've got good players. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And if I was going to highlight one game this year, you look at the Indiana ball game. In Indiana, I think all of us know, has a really good football team. They're playing great football. 6 minutes left, it's a 3-point game. They're going back and forth. Indiana would score, Northwestern would answer. So, I think it's just kind of represented their football team. That's, the score ended up getting away a little bit the last 5 minutes. But for the first 55, that was a really good contest, and I think that's kind of what we're trying to get ready for here. So a couple words about our kid captain. We've got Adeline Lovell from Clear Lake will be with us. She's a 6-year-old. And a couple years ago, she was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of leukemia, and it got a little bit complicated when she came down. She had a severe reaction to the chemo, so they had to devise another plan, new strategy across the street. And after 2 weeks of treatment, they got things under control a little bit, and she's done very, very well. So happy to say that. I guess her dad was inspired and became a marathon runner. Ran a marathon up in Chicago, coincidentally, and they're doing fundraising at the dance marathon, etc. So really, really good there. But she'll finish up treatment next month, so that's positive news. And she's participated in the Wave from Above, and she'll be in Kinnick this week. So really glad to have her with us, and happy to have her join us, and that'll be good. So just closing up, team, 2 messages basically. We're, move on. We got to move on. And that started yesterday morning. And then secondly, it's got to be about improvement, and that's each and every week. You got to try to do a better better job, and we certainly had some things off the tape that we've got to work on. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and I'll throw it out for questions.
Adam Jacoby, Hawkeye Weekend. You said, not only throughout the season but throughout your career, that practice determines playing time and how you evaluate these guys. What have you been seeing from Cade McNamara in practice that maybe you aren't seeing from Brendan Sullivan yet? Where is the opportunity for growth for Sullivan as you evaluate that position week to week?
Yeah, I think they're both doing a good job in practice, and game competition factors in there really less severely. The guys that are playing, obviously, you have concrete examples, and then guys that aren't out there, you're projecting a little bit, and it's part of the deal. So there's never a 100% answer, typically at least, but I think they're both doing a good job, and Cade has to play better. Certainly the first half, in particular, really nothing on offense was good enough for us to be. We dug a hole that was too deep, quite frankly, and everybody had a hand in it, but offense certainly has responsibility. Cade's going to have to throw the ball a little bit more accurately. And I mentioned about the makeables, whether it's him or anybody else, if he's got a chance to give us better production, that's what we need. So, we'll just keep pushing forward here and see what happens.
Yep. I know you mentioned the message to the team being move on. I guess with lofty goals going into the season, right, college football playoff, championship, is that difficult to keep the team moving forward? And I guess how do you keep it from going, sideways and maybe losing a few games as the season continues?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the team, and every week's a new game. The college playoffs, I know those changed this year, and that opened up a new opportunity beyond what we've had in the past, certainly. But, college football really hasn't changed. I think, I would imagine every team goes in the same way, hoping to win every game. Indiana, I'm guessing, had that goal, and so far they're doing really well with it. So those are the things you find out during the course of the season, and that's twofold, really. How do your opponents measure up? And a lot more about that after a game than you do in August, July, June. So you're preparing for the whole year, but bigger picture, you're trying to prepare to do your best. And, it's a week-by-week assessment. So, clearly we didn't, we weren't in a place Saturday where we need to be if we're going to, start by winning just a game and then, beyond that. And it's really the same thing this week. We're playing a team that we've got a lot of respect for, and they've proven they're certainly capable. Really good win a couple weeks ago at Maryland. So, and Maryland just had a big win. So, I mean, it's week to week, and you just really have to stay focused on that. And the teams that do that the best probably are the teams that are going to be most successful.
Hi, Kirk.
Hey, John.
First of all, from an injury standpoint, following up Castro and Cohen, you sounded optimistic about them on Saturday. Are they still on a good path for Saturday?
They both practiced today, so I anticipate they're going to be okay. And Cohen's, we dodged a bullet there. I don't know if you're allowed to say that, but we did. I mean, that looked like it might be a little bit more serious on Saturday, but fortunately, he'll be fine.
And then you were mentioning the issues of tackling. We usually aren't talking about that with this defense.
Yep.
What do you attribute that to? And do you see this as kind of a fixable problem for the next 5 games for this week?
Yeah, I used the term uncharacteristic on Saturday, and time will tell on that one, right? So if we get it straightened out and improve and do things that we've been doing well, if we can get back on that plane, then yeah, it is uncharacteristic. Could be the start of a trend, hopefully not. And, it's like turnovers, in the past, talked about turnovers a little bit. We don't have a specific turnover drill. It'd be great if you could hit one, but, you do things that are based on the fundamentals. You practice fundamentals, certainly. And tackling's the same way. We probably tackle less. I'm talking about over the years, live tackling than anybody in college football, I would guess. I don't know what everybody else does, but we've done very little of it in the last 20 plus years. Yet we practice it, in drills and those types of things, and we've been pretty successful. But every game's a new opportunity, and we just weren't there. And it was, I don't know what happened, but it was a collective. It wasn't just like one position or one guy. It was just kind of a collective deal the other night.
Before I ask, it sounded like Cade, your starter for Saturday.
Yep, correct. As of right now, yeah. Yeah.
So, you said they're both practicing well. Is there something specifically about, and the game results do matter to you guys, but obviously Brennan hasn't gotten anything what specifically about that Brendan is maybe holding you back from giving him that opportunity to have even just an extended look in the game?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is it's easier to talk about putting somebody in a game than just doing it, especially at that position. We've seen enough, I think, good things out of Cade to feel like he gives us our best chance out there. So that's really, it's like any position. Although this is obviously there's more eyes on this position, but yeah, I think he's done enough good things where we have confidence that he'll play well Saturday, and but we'll also keep an open mind. You have to, and we can't. We have to do better than we did the first 30 minutes the other night. We can't wait till the second half to start going here. So, we'll keep an open mind, but I have confidence in both of them, quite frankly. And when Brendan gets an expanded role, or if he gets an expanded role, I think he'll do well.
David, I told Hawkeyes Kirk, maybe this is kind of an odd question, but is it a skill for a player to be brutally honest when they evaluate themselves on tape? And is that a culture thing, or is that just maybe a maturity factor? I'm just kind of curious from your perspective what that process is kind of like.
I think it's a life thing, I think all of us. I mean, walk around thinking we don't have much to learn, then that's, it's probably you can probably leave a lot out there that maybe you could have enjoyed, or things you could have learned from. So, but the one nice thing about football, nice or not so nice, but the films are, really they are reality, and you've heard that's so cliche, but it's so true. When you watch the most powerful teaching aid that all of us have in the meeting rooms is film. Because after practice, when you watch practice film, you know what happened, you see what happened. And it's interesting, we were having a conversation, one of the coaches and I the other day, 2 days ago, just about having the, iPads, or, what I guess they have a different name for them, right? What do they call them? Tablets. I don't know how they got tablets out of an iPad, but anyway, but having those on the sideline, like, sense of reality is a little different during game time now, because it used to be like, on Saturday, player says one thing, and then Sunday it's like, whoa, hold it, take a look here. So that's one nice thing about it. But I think that's one difference about football, or one thing unique about football. You can't really debate what you see on the tape. It's not like instant replay at last 8 minutes. It's usually, okay, there it is. Here's what we got to do to correct it. And so the real trick is doing the work. But yeah, I mean, to improve, you've got to be humble enough to say, I've got some work to do. And one thing about football, and it's kind of like life, but football especially, you get humbled. And if you're not up to par, chances are you'll get humbled immediately. Sometimes you get away with it, but not too often.
Kirk, Tom Baker, Hawkeye reports. With the offensive line, we talked a lot about couldn't microwave the experience.
Yep.
Are we seeing some of that with the cornerback position opposite Jamari, that those guys are just kind of, they're struggling right now? What do you see from those guys and trying to microwave some of that experience right now?
Yeah, it's hard. You can't give players the experience or hand it to them, I should say. So yeah, sometimes you have to go out and, go through the highs and lows, and that's part of it. And we have gone through it at the line. We're not out of the woods yet there, but going back to the previous point, like the game is always humbling because there's always somebody out there that's going to challenge you, and you run the people that do better than you too. So it's you're trying to gain ground on that, and that's I think probably with outside Jamari's played a lot for us. But yeah, we got some guys that are still learning on the job, and you just keep competing. You watch the tape, and then you try to improve, and then carry that out to the game film on Saturday. But a lot of it, just technique, a little smarter positioning, or just seeing a situation a little bit differently maybe than you had on the field.
Even Petrik a few times. You guys had an interception from Cohen, didn't get any points out of it. It's kind of been a trend for this team this year. Offense is below average in scoring off of turnovers than the rest of the Big Ten. Is there a challenge to scoring in that kind of quick change situation? And what does the offense need to do to get more off of the defense's turnovers?
Yeah, I don't think there's any necessarily psychology to it at all. You'd certainly like to convert any good break, whether it's turnovers, good kick return, punt return, those types of things. You want to take advantage of good momentum, certainly. And but anytime you get the ball, unless you're just trying to burn clock or what have you, finish a half out, or you're trying to move it and score, and preferably touchdowns. So no, there's no psychology to it. We just got to try to do a little better job on it. Yep, Tom.
I just want to clarify with this Deshaun, there's no injury with him. That was a coach's decision.
Yeah, yeah, right. I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay. And then just about Jamari, the way he's playing, just what's the biggest areas of growth you've seen from the past few years since he got here into to the way he's playing now?
Yeah, I mean, he's, I remember sitting right about here, somewhere in here with him and his mom and his grandfather when they came in for a visit. He was the guy we offered late, like a lot of our guys that have played well. And she had just had a root canal, so he had to drive. Their grandfather drove, and she was not in the best of condition, quite frankly. But anyway, but yeah, he was a young guy from Montini Catholic that we kind of liked, obviously more than kind of liked, and just it took a while for us to want to get to know him a little bit better. And he's done nothing but work hard and improve since he's gotten here, and he's a tremendous young person on top of it. So, but little things you saw with him, he had a commute to get to school. It wasn't easy for him, and tells you a little something about his personality. I think that he had perseverance, and it was serious to him. He recognized a good opportunity, so he sacrificed a little bit to make it happen. And but he's worked hard. He's a really thoughtful young guy. He's got a lot going on that way, and that's a good thing. But that's part because he's older too and sees a little bigger picture than he did 4 years ago. But he's been a good leader for us, and he's playing well for us out there.
What's even PGA, and I noticed at fullback, I've got Rusty listed at the start of this week. I know Hayden's getting moved over to more tight end reps with Addison out, or what's going on with Hayden. I'm also curious to hear a little bit more about Deshaun Lee, if that is a, if there's an injury thing on Saturday, or just there was not a lot seen with him on the field, so, disciplinary, something like that.
No, nothing disciplinary at all. It's Phil, the position coaches typically decide on rotations and who's going to go in, and a lot of that just is based on the feel of how the game's going. But no, Deshaun's in good stand. He's doing a great job. Good young guy, and he's a little bit of a wall, so he's got to work through that. We're going to need everybody. I know that. That's for sure. So he's doing well. As far as Hayden goes, Hayden's coming off that ankle from 2 weeks ago. He seemed to be fine. He was sore Sunday, a little bit sore yesterday, but he's fine today. So. Addison's out, obviously, but the rotation, Hayden's still involved. Orth moves up to basically kind of take Addison's place in terms of what he was doing. And then John Pascuzzi also is involved. And then you got Rusty and Hayden, that H-back second tight end, or whatever you want to look at it. It's kind of, some of the stuff kind of blends together. And then obviously we'll probably do things a little different with Rusty on there or Eli as opposed to maybe one of the tight ends.
Hawkeyes, it looks with the struggles that the secondary's been having, it looks like a lot of teams have been attacking the outside, that sort of intermediate, deep, basically where the cornerback is handing off to safety a lot. Yeah. Does that come down to execution? Does that seem like other offenses are learning how to attack this defense schematically, or how do you look at a secondary that's now 83rd in the nation in pass yards allowed per game?
Yeah, I didn't know that stat either, so hey, that's not good news. I kind of look at the thing more collectively, but yeah, I mean, clearly, the other night it wasn't a good night, 400 plus yards, and but again, when you aren't playing fundamentally sound, and part of what you're alluding to is just it's physical, but also communication sometimes, and everybody being on the same page, and that's what defense is all about. All 11 guys being tied on a string, if you will, and one thing complements the other. So if you get somebody out of place, you could create some voids and give up some things. We've fallen victim to that. We've also fallen victim to some really good play. You think about the Ohio State receivers and trying to defend those guys. So the biggest thing we got to do is just try to take care of what we can do detail-wise, technique-wise, and then try to match up against this opponent. And those are the challenges every week you face.
I wanted to ask about Caden Weeden. I know you said he was kind of basically the only bright spot of the game the other night. This guy that came in from not only high school, but came from JUCO, was a walk-on, waited his turn behind Cooper DeJean in terms of punt return, and now he's a factor on offense and kick return and punt return. I just wanted to ask you about what you've seen from him in terms of his mindset, his willingness to wait, and now being impactful on punt return, kick return, and offense.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, since he's been here, he just seems like he enjoys football, enjoys the group, being part of the team, and he's, typically a pretty positive guy. So, whether it's in meeting rooms or down working out, strength conditioning work, I can't say I've really seen him not like upbeat very often since he's been here. And to your point, and that's a good point about him, having patience, because you got a guy like Cooper who's really exceptional. And I'm sure he would have loved to have been in there the last couple of years too, but being patient there and then stepping in, kind of the Jay Higgins story, and doing a great job. And he certainly did a nice job the other night. The irony the other night, I thought we would have it. Silly me. I thought we'd have an opportunity in the punt return game based on what we had seen. I thought we had a real opportunity there to make some yards. I don't think they punted. So take that off the table, and then flipping it over, they'd given up 4 returns, had 4 balls returned on this entire season. So I didn't think we'd necessarily get an opportunity, and then secondly, didn't really see the ball coming out the way it did. So it's a real credit to Weege and also the entire unit for blocking the way they did. Nice to find one positive thing to say about Saturday, so thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Chad likes to go to one register again. Brendan Sullivan is a 69% career passer, pretty low mistake guy, so he obviously can throw the ball. You mentioned the third down failure the other day. You had 2 third and ones, and didn't bring him in again.
Yep.
I'm curious why you don't use him in those situations, the third and ones, or
Yeah.
third and a halves.
Yeah, you can make that argument. Treat it like we've done that with the red zone, and you could make that argument. You can make it both ways. It's a little bit unsettling. Maybe bringing a guy in, and but I think I saw the Packers walking through the building. Kraft, I think, did a sneak, right? And apparently, I said that to one of our guys, and they said, "Well, I guess he did it in college too." I don't know if he's a high school quarterback, but yeah, I mean that's something you could consider for sure. And maybe it is something we need to look at. So.
That'd be Tim's call or your call?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it as a staff, but yeah, that'd be usually most of our stuff's a group decision, but Tim ultimately will make the call. Yep.
Jeffrey Ruffy's saying with Kirk, for different circumstances, in years past, feels as if there are question marks around the quarterback position, whether it's who's starting or the play of the quarterback at the time. Do you think there's a common denominator there, or is it a string of maybe just bad coincidences that these conversations are getting had?
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question totally, but just about everything in general.
Yeah, just
Typically, when they happen, it means you're not playing well enough to be undefeated or scoring as much as you like. I mean, I guess the best way I could say that is like a week ago, I didn't hear a word on Monday about we didn't play the quarterbacks right. So if you win and score points, typically things are well, and that's what an offense's job is to score points. Certainly the quarterback's the most prominent player on a offensive football team, and the other night we basically didn't do much at all, if anything, in the first half. So I mean you got to look at everything, and usually it starts with the quarterback, play calling, but we're assessing those things all the time, and there's if we had a exact answer that we knew was 100%, we'd be going with it, and let's keep an open mind, keep playing, and see what happens. Yep.
3 more.
John said he's directed that at left guard, saw Elfrid starting and saw KP for some work in there.
Yep.
What prompted that? Is there an injury there, or is it just kind of getting Kate some time? And kind of along those lines, what have you seen from Kate that's really stood out this year?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously the injury was Bo being out, and that'll be the case this week too. So we'll probably go the same way. Tyler's done a great job. I've talked about him a lot. Really has good position flexibility, and he'll be our backup center this week. I would imagine going into the game, and start at left guard. And then Pieper's a young guy, obviously a little different than kind of the exact opposite of Tyler, but really impressed us last year and had a really good spring ball and had a good camp. So we think he's got a really good future right now. And so our plan the other night was to play both those guys, and we'll probably do the same thing this week. I mentioned Tyler being the backup center only because Cade's been working backup center too. But I don't think we want to have him doing 2 things this week. So we'll just keep him at guard and let Tyler float around a little bit. And, his versatility, that part of that comes with his experience. He did a great job last year when Logan was out. Yep.
David Eichel, Hawkeyes. Kirk, you over the years, you've had a lot of young defensive backs, cornerbacks that John Nestor was listed as a starter going into the year. Probably didn't have his best performance on Saturday, but he's a guy that you talk highly about, the team's talk highly about. How do you kind of make sure that he remains focused and locked in and confident in his process as he kind of continues to grow in his role that he wants to do?
Yeah, I mean, all he's got to do is talk to basically everybody else in the group that has gone through it, and pretty much every position. You know, when you start out as a young player, you know, it's not easy, especially if you're really young, which John is experience-wise. So, you know, it's going to be a process for him, and he's, you know, you take your lumps, you get back on your feet, and just go back to work. Don't have much time to sit around and pout, and you know, you just got to try to learn from what you see on the tape, what you're hearing from the coaches and from other players, and go forward. But it's really the path for most guys. We talked about microwaving. You can't microwave an offensive line. It's really true at every position, and it's really rare when a guy just comes in and does really well right off the bat. It might happen occasionally, but very, very rare. And I think it's probably true at every level, at least certainly in college football or the NFL. You usually got to, you know, take some lumps too.
You talked in the past about Robbie Moss coming back for the extra use of eligibility and really taking advantage of that year. Have you seen something similar from Jamari Harris?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's playing good football, and you know, you hope all the guys that came back are gonna not only want to play well, but improve, and that's really why you practice, and that's why you invest all the time. So, and if you've got experience and some good experience on top of it, which he does, then that can really play in your advantage. And I think he's done a great job of that. And you know, basically all the older guys are doing that, and we just need them to keep leading and you know, bring some other guys with them. But yeah, no, he's doing a great job. I'm really glad he's in the program. Okay, see you guys Saturday. Thank you.